So let's move to the main idea of the first part, from obligation to responsiveness to responsibility. In this part, we have first, social obligation, second, classical view, third, social economic view, social responsiveness, and finally, social responsibility. So the concept of social responsibility has been described in different ways. So for instance, it's been called profit making only, or going beyond profit making, or any discretionary corporate activity intended to further social welfare, and finally, improving social or environmental conditions. So we can understand it better if we first compare it with two similar concepts, that is social obligation and social responsiveness. So the social obligation is when a firm engages in social action because of its obligation to meet certain economic and legal responsibilities. So the organization does what it's obligated to do and nothing more. So this idea reflects the classical view of social responsibility, which says that management's only social responsibility is to maximize profits. So the most outspoken advocate of this approach is economist and Nobel laureate Milton Friedman. He argued that managers' primary responsibility is to operate the business in the best interests of the stockholders, whose primary concerns are financial. Okay, so the social economic view says that managers' social responsibility go beyond making profit to including protecting and improving society's welfare. So this view is based on the belief that corporations are not independent entities responsible only to stockholders, but have an obligation to larger society. So the organization around the world have embraced this view as shown by a survey of global executives in which 84% said that companies must balance obligation to shareholders with obligation to the public good. And social responsiveness is when a company engages in social actions in response to some popular social need. Managers are guided by social norms and values and make practical, market-oriented decisions about their actions. For instance, Ford Motor Company became the first automaker to endorse a federal ban on sending text message while driving. So finally, a socially responsible organization goes beyond what is obligated to do or chooses to do because of some popular social need and does what it can help to improve society because it's the right thing to do. So we define social responsibility as a business intention beyond its legal and economic obligations to do the right things and act in the ways that are good for society. A socially responsibility organization does what it writes because it feels like it's had an ethical responsibility to do so. Okay, so in this part, we have a question that is, what is green management? Well, so what is green management? So green management is that managers consider that the impact of their organization on the natural environment. Until late 1960s, few people and organizations paid attention to environmental consequences of their decisions and actions. However, a number of environmental disasters brought a new spirit of environmentalism to individuals, groups, and organizations. So increasingly, managers have begun to consider the impact of their organization on the natural environment, which we call that green management. Organizations go green. So there is a way to organizations go green. First, legal approach. Second, market approach. Stakeholder approach. And activist approach. Managers and organizations can do many things to protect and preserve the natural environment. Some do no more than what is required by law, that is, they fulfill their social obligation. The first approach, the legal, or we call that the light green approach, is simply doing what is required legally. In this approach, which illustrate a social obligation, organizations exhibit little environmental sensitive. They obey laws, rules, and regulations without legal challenge, and that's the extent of their being green. So, as an organization becomes more sensitive to environmental issues, it may adopt the market approach and respond to environmental preferences of customers. So, whatever customers demand in terms of environmentally friendly products will be what the organization provides. So, in the stakeholder approach, an organization works to meet the environmental demands of multiple stakeholders such as employees, suppliers, or community. So finally, if an organization persuades an activist, or we call that dark green approach, it looks for ways to protect the earth's natural resources. The activated approach reflects the highest degree of environmental sensitivity and illustrate social responsibility.
Hi, my name is Han, and now we will discuss the factors that lead to ethical or unethical behavior. Now we will define what is ethics. Ethics are the values, the principles, the beliefs that define behavior is right or wrong. For example, in Vietnam, if we call people who are older than us by their name, it would be considered rude or unpolite. But in America, we can call people, even they are much older than us, by their name, and it would be considered normal. So, a person who is faced with ethical dilemma would be influenced by stage of moral development and also the moderating variables. For example, the individual characteristics, the issue intensity, structural behavior variables, and organizational culture. Now we will look into the stage of moral development. The first stage is pre-conventional. It means that people who follow the rules when they're doing so just because of immediate interest or because they are very afraid of physical punishment. The second stage is conventional. It means that they maintain the conventional order by fulfilling obligations to which they have agreed, and they living up to what is expected by people who close to us. The final stage is principled. It means that they follow the self-chosen ethical principles even if they violate the law. Or maybe they're valuing rights of others and upholding absolute values and rights regardless the majority opinion. For example, some people they wear bikini outside even though the law is that people should not wear bikini on the street, but they're doing so because they like. So that is an example of the level principle. Now we will look into the moderating variables. The first one is individual characteristics. Individual characteristics, we include three things. The first one is values. Second one is ego strength, and the third one is locus of control. So what is values? Values are the basic convictions about what is right and what is wrong. The ego strength is the personality measure of the strength of a person's conviction. The locus of control is a personality attribute that measure the degree to which people believe that they control their own future.
And ethic behavior is a core value that people consider most in modern technology nowadays. Of course, in business, it is also a special measure that managers to classify and evaluate their employees. So, how do managers promote moral spirit at work? To learn about this, we will go through two paths: encouraging ethical behavior and social responsibility. So let's go. The first point is encouraging ethical behavior. So what is it? Firstly, employee selection, an opportunity to learn about an individual level of moral development, personal values, ego strength, and locus of control. The selection process such as interview, background check, test, and so forth. Another popular choice for reducing that ambiguity is code of ethics, a formal statement of an organization's primary values and the ethical rules it expects its employees to follow. Secondly, leadership. Doing business ethically requires a commitment from top managers because they are the role models in terms of both words and action. So they are the ones who uphold the same value and set the cultural tone. Thirdly, job goals and performance appraisal. Unrealistic goals provide stress, which may be pressure ethical employees to do whatever is necessary to meet the goals. To avoid this problem, both ends and means to be evaluated. In addition, many organizations are conducting ethics training by setting up seminars, workshops, and similar ethics programs to encourage ethical behavior. From then on, the fear of being caught can be an important deterrent to unethical behavior. Independent social audits, which evaluate decision and management practice in terms of the organization code of ethics, enrich that livelihood. However, employees who face ethical dilemmas need protective mechanisms so that they can do the right thing without fear of repercussion. Move to the second point, social responsibility. First of all, managing ethical lapse and social irresponsibility. One survey revealed that among 5,000 employees, 45% falling asleep at work and 22% spread a rumor about co-workers. There are many other similar studies, and it generally shows the staff irresponsibility is out of control in management day by day. Secondly, ethical leadership. Managers must provide ethical leadership because the managers do have a strong influence on employee decisions. Because whether or easier on older needed to be protected. Lastly, social entrepreneur, an individual or organization who seeks out opportunities to improve society by using practical, innovative, and sustainable approaches. Their purpose is make the world better and better day by day. Through the corporate philanthropy is an effective way for companies to express social problems or employee volunteering efforts. Also is a popular way for business to be involved in promoting social change. Thank you for your listening.
Hi everyone, I'm Lynn from Group 1 and today I'm going to discuss case application 1 AS Question Group. AS Question Group was founded in 1828 as a small dispensary in southern China, Guangdong province. Today, AS Question Group is one of the largest health and beauty retail groups with more than 10,000 stores operating in more than 30 countries. Despite the successes in market and business expansions, managers at AS Watson Group find it difficult to integrate the newly acquired business with existing ones, compared to many other big players in this field who rely on price wars and low costs to gain sales revenue and expand market share. AS Watson Group is gaining competitive advantage by providing unique shopping experience to its customers. In recent years, AS Watson Group adopted a set of employee training modes to not only improve staff product knowledge, sales, and service skills, but also to promote the group's business philosophy to each employee. AS Watson Group was the first retailer who realized the importance of emerging middle-class customers and developed a business model to meet their needs. And now in terms of question 1, what kind of trend processes did AS Watson Group experience since the late 1980s? What activities were conducted in order to smooth the change? I think the kind of trend processes which AS Watson Group experienced in the late 1990s is international mergers and acquisition strategy. Activities were conducted in order to smooth the change were that in 1981 the company was acquired by Hutchinson Wamber. Question 2. What is your interpretation of the company philosophy? Look good, feel great, and have fun. How does such philosophy make AS Watson Group's personal care store differ from its competitors? Look good, feel great, and have fun. It means that Watson makes personal shopping more convenient, more enjoyable, and more affordable. Knowing and understanding the needs of its shoppers, it has redefined the meaning of personal shopping through innovation and design with its new look. An AS Watson Group personal care store emphasizes excellent customer services and sells its own brand products. Question 3. What could other companies learn from AS Watson Group's new business model? Other companies learn about understanding customer services from AS Watson Group's new business model. First we will start with the two views of change process. So, there are two views, that is the calm waters metaphor. In the calm waters metaphor, we have unfreezing the status quo, changing the new state, and refreezing to make the change paramount. The second view is that whitewater rapids metaphor. So at one time, the calm waters metaphor was very descriptive of the situation managers faced. It's best discussed using Kurt Lequin's three-step process. According to Lequin, successful change can be planned and requires unfreezing by the status quo, changing to the new state, and freezing to make the change paramount. So most managers at one point and another will have to change some things in their workplace. We classify these changes as organizational change, which is any alteration of people, structure, or technology. And organizational changes often need someone to act as a catalyst and assume to responsibility for managing the change process. That is a change agent. So the change agents can be a manager within the organization that could be a non-manager. For example, a change specialist from the HR department or even the outside consultant. So managers face three main types of change that are structure, technology, and people. Changes in the external environment or in organizational structures often lead to change in the organizational structure because an organization structure is defined by how work gets done and how does work. Managers can alter one or both of these structural components. So technology changes usually involve the introduction of new equipment, tools or methods, automation or computerization. Competitive factors or new innovations within an industry often require managers to introduce new equipment, tools, or operating methods. And changing people involves changing attitudes, expectations, perceptions, and behaviors, something that's not easy to do. Changing people involves changing attitudes, expectations, perceptions, and behavior. So there is something that's not easy to do, like organization developed. We can call it OD is the term used to describe change methods that focus on people and the nature and quality of the interpersonal work relationships. And managers need to recognize that some techniques that work for US organization may not be appropriate for organizations or organizational divisions based in the country. So why do people resist change? The main reason include uncertainty, habits, concern over personal thoughts, and the belief that the change is not in the organization's best interests. Change replaces the known with uncertainty. Another cause of resistance is that we do things out of habit. The third cause of resistance is the fear of losing something already possessed. Change threatens the investment you've already made in the status quo. And a final cause of resistance is the person's belief that the change is incompatible with the goals and interests of the organization.
So we got a lot of techniques to reduce the resistance to change. The first one is education and communication. These techniques can clear up misunderstandings between people, but it may not work. when the mutual trust and credibility are lacking. The second technique is participation. This one increases involvement and acceptance, but it is time consuming. The third one is facilitation and support. When it can facilitate needed adjustment, but it is very expensive. The fourth technique is negotiation. This one resists. This one can buy commitment, but it is potentially high cost. The fifth one is manipulation and co-optation. This one is inexpensive, but it can backfire. The coercion. This one is inexpensive, but it may be illegal. So, how to change an organizational culture? We should know that the cultures are naturally resistant to change. We got a lot of conditions that facilitate culture change. First one is the occurrence of dramatic crisis. Second one is the leadership changing hands. The fourth one is a young, flexible, and small organization. And the final one is a weak organizational culture.
Hey Sky, I'm Yi. Having creative people isn't enough to make organizations succeed. Employees need right environment to transform creative thinking into innovative products. This right environment is an environment that stimulates innovation, including structural variables, cultural variables, and human resource variables. Firstly, let's start with structural variables. That an organization's structure can have a huge impact on innovativeness. Many characteristics of these variables should take into consider like organic structures. Secondly, cultural variables. We have some feature here. What is it? Too much objectivity and reactivity may lead to accept ambiguity. Then tolerate the impractical in needed because impractical offer might result in innovative solutions. Also, keep external like regulation, rules, policies to the minimum. Besides, tolerate risks is a learning opportunity, so employees are encouraged to experiment without fear. And tolerate conflict is happen when diversity of opinion is encouraged. We need to focus on end rather than means because the right answer may be possible for any given problem. When talking about culture, there are many things to discuss, so stay tuned. Next, managers should use an open system focus to easily change when environment requires. After that, we need to provide positive feedback to encourage staff. Last but not least, exhibit empowering leadership. Leaders are not organizational members. Now that the work they are doing is important. That's it all about cultural variables. Move to the human resource variables. Innovative organizations actually promote the training and development of their members so their knowledge remain current and encourage individuals to become idea champions if necessary. Idea champions is actually an enthusiastic in supporting new ideas, building support, overcoming resistance, and ensuring that innovation are implemented. In addition, there is a strong connection exists between design thinking and innovation. When a business approaches innovation with a design thinking mentality, the emphasis is on getting a deeper understanding of what customers need and want. Thank you for your listening.
And let's move to the case in chapter 6. This case is about the Technogym company and its social response. Okay, so the first question is, how can Technogym be balanced between being socially responsible and focus on profits? The way Technogym can do this is because the founder of Technogym, Nerio Alessandri, is also the one who launched the Wellness Foundation, which is a socially responsible company that always promotes environmental sustainability and wellness in everything it does. They did a lot of work for the well-being of society. Technogym is also known as the official supplier of gym equipment for Olympic as well as for major luxury hotel. Moreover, the company counts many celebrities as their clients, and since the company participates into the Let's Move project, the goodness of the company has gained international recognition, which means that more people will support the company. So the second question is, how would I describe Nerio's approach? I would describe Nerio's approach as social responsibility because there was no novel style of living in society. Very few people want to take regular physical activities when back then. And however, Nerio saw that as a problem and decided to launch the Wellness Foundation in order to promote people to participate in regular physical activities by promoting scientific research, education, tangible projects, and encourage people of all generations. Okay, the third question. How can a manager emphasize genuineness of corporate social responsibilities and activity in society? So it can be done by proving what the company promise is true. Regularly launch projects and activities that can benefit the society or the environment based on the company's social responsibilities, and never break the promise with the clients. So the last question is, how can Wellness Foundation boost Technogym's turnover? So in my opinion, Wellness Foundation can boost Technogym's turnover because Wellness Foundation always promotes environmental sustainability and wellness in everything it does. Moreover, Technogym has a lot of celebrity as their clients, which means that the company can quickly gain international recognition with their project and in the Wellness Foundation. Therefore, Technogym's turnover can be boosted. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.